So I had to get Joe Ingles in the intro of this video, even if he's not going to be a part of the video, and that breaks my heart. We're going to be talking about 5 underrated players in the NBA this season, and of course there are far more than 5 and many that you could think of yourself that are not going to be in this video. But these are just 5 that have caught my eye. Now, why does the title of the video say Top 5 Underrated? Well, that's because I'm trying to get some views. Let's jump into this thing. Number 1, Goran Dragic of the Miami Heat. It was a struggle early on for Miami this season. They lost Dwayne Wade, they lost Joe Johnson, Luol Deng. It just seemed like their expert wing rotation that made them so good last season was just going to be gone, and it was going to be a struggle, and it definitely was. But around midway, when they were like minus 19 on the season in terms of wins and losses, they just turned it around and then some. And I mean, it's been a group effort. Eric Spoelstra's done a great job with rotations, and James Johnson, Tyler Johnson, Dion Waiters. It's all been very good. But Dragic has been the best player. He's putting up over 20 points a game, doing it efficiently, getting about 5 or 6 assists per game. And he's just one of the more versatile point guards in the NBA. I mean, he's always been one of the best when it comes to finishing down low. We give guys like Kyrie Irving and a few years ago someone like Tony Parker so much credit for how they finish at the basket. Dragic is right there with him. His craftiness down there is damn good. He can finish off of both hands. And then when we talk about the outside shooting, he's always a threat there. And the way Miami uses him so well, where it be he can either just get his own shot off, whether it be in the pick and roll and he can pull up for 3, or if he's playing off ball, he can do that. And of course, he's been getting everybody involved as well. I mean, he has been the catalyst for this crazy run that Miami has been on. Not the only guy, of course. It's been a team effort, but he's been the top dog throughout the entire thing. And if Miami manages to get into the postseason, whether it be the 8th seed, the 7th seed, or maybe they could get even higher, there is still some time left in the year. I think they're definitely a scary team for the playoffs. Hopefully Dion Waiters can be healthy. And Dragic just... the dude's been great. That's the only way to put it. If we go on to our next guy, also in the Eastern Conference, we're going to be talking about the Washington Wizards, and John Wall is, of course, a fantastic playmaker and one of the best in the NBA today. And then there is also Bradley Beal, who has finally been healthy, and his scoring has been huge for the Wiz. But when you have 2 guys like this, you need another guy who can just help those guys out, and we're going to be talking about Otto Porter. When you want to talk about efficiency, Porter might be the most efficient player in the NBA today at around 14 points a game. Very good 3-point shooter, great for mid-range, damn good when it comes to finishing around the basket. You can run any sort of off-ball play for Porter, and he's always going to have value for you. He's one of those guys where even if he's not making all of his shots, just the amount of gravity that he commands from the defense, because they can't leave him open because they assume he's going to knock it down if he's open, it just gives the rest of the team so much spacing. I mean, if the Wizards want to run the John Wall, Marcin Gortat pick and roll, Porter's guy, I mean, he could help out, but if he does, there's a very good chance that it's going to be 3 points, or Porter can step in and take a mid-range where he's kind of automatic from. But then if someone like a Bradley Beal wants to attack one-on-one, then Porter provides the spacing there as well. His value is a little bigger than what his stats would display, in my opinion. While his stats are still pretty decent, and I wouldn't be surprised if he put up a 50-40-90 season, maybe more than one, if we extend his career out a few more seasons here. I don't think he's finished as a player. I think he does have opportunities to improve as a defensive player, as well as perhaps get better at creating his own shot. But just with how good of a shooter he is from everywhere, given that he has such a great passer in John Wall and a guy like Bradley Beal who can score, he's just a very effective and influential player. Avery Bradley has always been known for his defense. That was his thing from the moment he walked into the NBA. And while he has been injured a bit this season for the Celtics, as he missed about 2 months, I want to say, his defense is still effective. I mean, if you do a quick search on YouTube, you can find the defense that he's played on guys like Carmelo Anthony in a big moment this season where he stripped the ball from him, or when he just put the clamps on Kyrie Irving in the last minute of a big game against the Cavaliers. The guy's impact when it comes to defending point guards, shooting guards, and sometimes small forwards, even if there's the height advantage, is just huge, and the Celtics defense, it's really improved since he's come back. But offensively, he has really developed as a three-point shooter as well. Over 40% from three this season, while also shooting about 5 per game. I used to give Wesley Matthews the nickname of Knockdown Lockdown. I think I might have to turn that one to Avery Bradley now, given Matthews and his decline. But Bradley's also made improvements in other areas. He's grabbing 6 rebounds a game, and he just said at the beginning of the season, yeah, I'm just going to grab more rebounds, which makes sense given how athletic he is. But what's also very intriguing about him is his improvement with his handle to the point where he can actually create his own shot a bit more often now. So there are times when he'll be bringing the ball up floor and the defense, they're not really expecting him to attack, and then he'll actually beat a guy off the dribble and he's willing to attack the rim a little bit more. He does still love his mid-range jumpers, but the improvement that he has made when it comes to taking his guy one-on-one and actually being able to be successful that way is really huge for him, and it makes me believe that he still has another level to go, mainly with his playmaking. He only averages about 2 assists per game right now, but given that he is a better ball handler this season, I do think we could see that part of his game step up moving forward. Now for the Utah Jazz, there's like 3 guys you could go with here. There's George Hill, but I've been calling George Hill underrated on my channel for like 2 years now, so I really don't feel like doing it again, although he is deserving of it. And then there's also Gordon Hayward, who I feel like kind of fits into the Mike Conley thing of everyone calls him underrated, so therefore he's not underrated. I'm gonna go with Rudy Gobert. And you might say it's because of the defense. Of course, that's a huge part of it. I think his offense is underrated, honestly. For one, Gobert averages around 12, 13 points a game, which is pretty solid. He's also shooting 70% at the basket. So if he is rolling to the rim, if he's standing around the rim because of a dump-off pass, oftentimes he will finish. So even if he's not the vocal point of the Jazz offense, he's still very good at finishing down low, which is great. A center who shoots like around 55% or so from the rim, they're just not as effective, and he's shooting 70, so that's very good. But he also grabs 4 offensive rebounds a game. He doesn't shine in one area offensively, but when you look at the combination of finishing at the rim on top of how many offensive boards he grabs, Gobert's a pretty damn solid offensive 5, given what he does on the other end. He also attempts 6 free throws a game. So he's finishing down low, he can roll to the rim, he can catch an alley-oop, he'll grab an offensive rebound where he can put it back up and in, and then he shoots 65% from the line while also getting there like 3 times a game. And then we talk about the defense, where he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year this season. Hell, he could win 10 of those in his career, given how good he is on that side of the floor, and he's like, what, 23 years old? Like, if Gobert is on your team, you're almost guaranteed to have a top 10 defense, and then if the rest of your guys are alright, I assume the Jazz are going to be a defensive juggernaut for a long time, just from Gobert being on the roster. Now we got to talk about another center, Clint Capel of the Houston Rockets. Houston has gotten a lot of press this season, deservedly so. James Harden's MVP. Chances, because just how awesome of a scorer Harden is on top of his playmaking and the way he's getting everyone involved. Eric Gordon, potential 6th man of the year. Lou Williams, who's also great scoring off the bench. They have a slew of role players. What has been the foundation of Houston's offense this season? The pick and roll. Who's setting the majority of those screens? It's the guy who replaced Dwight Howard. Capel has just been very good this season for Houston. They don't ask him to do everything in the world. I believe he's averaging like 12 points and 8 rebounds. But there's a huge thing to be said about a guy who knows his limitations, and I've heard a saying before that says, even if you're not a star, you can be a star in your role, and that's exactly what Capel has been this season, whether it be grabbing rebounds, getting offensive rebounds, setting screens for James Harden, Eric Gordon, or Lou Williams, or Patrick Beverley, being a solid defensive player. I mean, that's the thing that surprised me the most, is that Houston has managed to be like around the 15th best defensive team in the league, and Capela definitely plays a part of that, as well as guys like Beverly and Trevor Ariza. He's just been able to do exactly what Houston asks of him, and he's done it beautifully. Rolling to the rim off of James Harden screens, or getting alley-oops from James Harden, and just being like that one guy who doesn't really need to worry about three-point shooting on this team and doesn't have to be a creator. And it just works out really well for Capela. He's one of those guys who you don't realize how good he really is or how effective he really is until he's on your team, which I would say is the epitome of an underrated player, even if his stats don't like blow you out of the water or anything. So those are just 5 underrated players. Of course, there are many more that you could talk about. These are just 5 that I've noticed this year, and I felt like appreciating them in a video a little bit. And yeah, we have like 4 seconds left here, so thank you for watching.